Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cabinet Vision Guy. In this episode and the next few episodes, we're going to be continuing our series on JavaScript, and we're going to start to take a look at an advanced example that I've put together for shaping assemblies. This UCS uses the new shaping object found in 2025.2 and above, but it also uses some new functionality in 2025.3 that allows us to get the particular axis of the shape that we're actually modifying. But we'll take a look at that in more detail later. In the first episode, I'm going to be taking you through exactly what the UCS does and a little bit of how it works. And then in the following episodes, we're going to go through line by line and take a look at how the UCS actually functions. I would consider this one of the more advanced UCSs that we're going to be looking at. So if you haven't seen the other videos that we've got in the series, I'd advise you to go give those a watch first, have a little bit of a practice with JavaScript before moving on to something like this. So let's start to take a look at our UCS. And for my example job, what I've got is a really simple job. I've got one wall up at the back and I've got a standard tall assembly placed on that wall. Now what you will notice is I'm starting off with a standard assembly. There's no shaping on this assembly. So the UCS is designed to be run on standard assemblies. It's not designed to be run on like a corner 90 or a corner 45 unit. Let's head down to assembly level and take a look at how this UCS works. So from assembly level or from room level where I'm selecting my assembly, what I can do is on the left hand side, I can choose to select a shape inside. And then from here, I can select between the end view, the face view and the plan view, which is obviously just the face view, plan view and end view from here. I'm going to start off with the plan view first, but I'm going to do this from 3D so we can see the changes as they're happening. So the first thing that I'm going to do is select the side that I want to apply the shape to. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a plan view. But before I do that, I'm just going to head into the object tree and take a look at the assembly and just have a check and see what parameters we're actually applying to the assembly to manage some of our shaping. And currently all we've got is an attribute set, which is allowing us to pick the shape inside. So if I select a plan view now, and I'll just stretch this out so we can see it a little bit better. The first option we've got is reset shape. And now what this doesn't do, and I'm going to point this out several times in this video, is actually remove the shape override once it's applied. But what it does do is it resets the shape to be a rectangular shape, and it also sets the sides as well to be the correct side types. Just like when we're shaping assemblies manually, when we shape an assembly using the JavaScript object, we actually add a shape override to the assembly itself. So if our UCS reshapes the assembly through any of the views and we switch off our UCS, the shape will still exist, again because we've created a shape override. So to be able to reset the shape back to its original rectangular or square shape and set the correct side types for the shape, what we do when we select the plan or the side that we're going to be applying the shape to, what we do is we capture a little bit of information for the assembly so we can reset that when we want to. We store that information as parameters down on assembly level, so if you need to get to it at any point, it's in here. And the information that we store is the face that we're applying obviously the shape into. And we also capture the side types as well for the different sides of our assembly. So you'll see side type 1 I've got set to 18, side type 2 is 1, side type 3 is 18, and side type 4 is 19. So side type 1, 18, which is going to be, I think, an automatic end panel, which is this side here. Then we've got side type 1, which is going to be a face, and then 18 again, which is going to be an automatic end panel, and then 19, which is either an unfinished back or an automatic back. And if I just go to plan view and into edit shape, I can also check the side types here as well. So if I click on this, I can see that I've got this one set to face, this one set to end auto, this one set to end auto as well, and this one set to back. So essentially we're just capturing the side types of the assembly that we're applying the shape into, again so we can reset that back to its original shape and side type. And if you're not sure about the different side types of an assembly or a countertop or a door, if you head through to the help file and head through to the JavaScript shape object, we've got the different axes in here as well as the assembly side types, door side types and top side types as well. Just one other thing to mention, and I'm going to mention this again, I've mentioned it in previous videos, but I'll say it again. When we're actually creating the shape of an assembly, it's important that we follow the correct order that the assembly is drawn. And the reason I'm going to highlight this again is because when I originally put the UCSs together, I didn't work this out, and I drew some shapes and had to rewrite a lot of the logic that was in there originally. So it's important that when we're redrawing an assembly shape, we follow the correct order of the sides. It's also important that when we're resetting the sides, we follow the same order as well. So we start off, and I'm going to go from plan view, because this is the one that we're looking at first. The side types start at 0, and they start at the closest point to 0 itself as well, the coordinates. And we start off on the left hand side and we go 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 as we move around the assembly in a counterclockwise fashion. It's the same for the plan view and for the end view as well. And I'll also keep this obviously in the video, but I'll put this as an image on the Nexus site as well. So you can refer back to this if you're working through any assembly shaping. So in our UCS, when we hit the reset shape option, all we're doing is we're performing a set side type command for side type 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then all we're doing is setting those side types to the stored values that we've got in our parameters. But let's head back down to assembly level and take a look at some of the options. So the first option that we can apply when we're shaping from plan view is just a simple defront. So if I select that, we then get an additional attribute in here to allow us to input a curve offset. So if I just hit 100, you'll see that what happens is the curve is actually offset from the assembly, and we'll get this nice curved front on here as well. We are staying within the original bounds of the assembly, so we're not actually growing the depth of the assembly at all. We're just taking the curve offset back from the original size here. If I from here go to hit reset assembly shape, you'll see that the shape itself has been reset. But if I head to section view, modifications and overrides, you'll see that we do still have a shape override in here. So just something to be aware of when we're shaping with a JavaScript UCS. So I'm going to head back into 3D and I'm going to choose another option. And for this, I'm going to choose D front and back. And again, we get the option to input a curve offset, and I'm going to set this one at about 200. And what we should see is we've now got a curve across the face and back of the assembly. So the next option that I'm going to choose is I'm going to choose our notch option, and I'm going to set a couple of sizes here. And what this is going to do is it's now going to, once I've input my sizes, it's now going to input my notch shape. And I've just set this to obviously be 100 by 100, so small notch up at the back here. And if I just go to plan view, what I'm going to do is I'll just increase the size of that to show you the effect. But essentially what it's doing is it's allowing us to specify just a notch, which is going to go right in the center of the assembly up at the back. Next, we're going to take a look at some of the options that we've got through shaping through a face view. So I'm going to change the shaping side from plan view to face view. And the first option that I'm going to choose when we're shaping through the face is the angled left option. And when I do that, I then get an additional attribute that appears on assembly level that allows me to control the height of the side of the assembly here. So if I set this to say 500, you'll see that it comes right down here, and this should be 500 high. Or if I set this to something a lot bigger, it obviously changes the angle of the assembly here. Again, we're not modifying the size of the assembly, just the shape of the assembly. Now, one really cool thing, if we're not modifying the shape too much, for example, if we're not changing the face or the number of sides that we've got in the shape, the sectioning will survive the shaping that's applied to it. So if I just modify the size here, we should see our adjustable shelves stay within our assembly. So if I just switch this now from angled left to angled right, you'll see that my sectioning has stayed intact. Obviously, I've not set this to be equal sizes for the adjustable shelf heights. So let me get rid of this while I show you the other options. So again, just like we can do with an angled left, we can choose an angled right. And again, we get the size to specify the height that we've got here. If I just switched over, we've then got options for a partial angle left, and this allows us two different options to specify. We've got the height of the assembly on the left-hand side here, but we've also got the distance in on the right-hand side. So if I modify that, you'll see our assembly shape updates. Well, again, I'll do this from 3D view, and if I modify this one, you'll see that our assembly shape updates as well. Again, just like with an angled left and an angled right, I can switch between partial angled left and partial angled right, and I'll then get obviously the opposite assembly shape. So let's now change the shape inside from face view to an end view. And the first option that I'm going to pick here is going to be an angled back. And again, this gives us the option of being able to specify the height for the back shape here. So if I set this to being something quite low at 500, you'll see the shape updates. And again, if we go bigger, it just gives us a shallower angle here. Again, I can switch between angle back and angle front, depending on the type of assembly that I want to be producing. And I've also got options in here. Again, just like when we're angling from face, we can switch to things like a partial angle back. And this gives us another option of being able to specify the size of the top that's going to be in here. So if I set that one to be in 500 and setting this one to be, say, 2000, again, you'll see the assembly shape update. Again, one of the awesome things about shaping with cabinet vision is whatever we do to the shape is then mimicked when we're sectioning the assembly. So if I just add in a partition here, you'll see that instantly that also follows the shape. And again, because I'm not switching between shaping sides, this should stay intact as I alter the shape. So if I make this one, say 200, and this one down here, let's say 1000, you'll see as well as our ends updating, our partition is updated, and obviously all the other assembly components that go along with it. Now, the last option that we've got when we're shaping from end view is to add a notch again. And again, I'm going to specify a size for our notch. When we've applied the shape with the notch, it has actually removed the interior for us. And that's because we're altering the number of sides that actually make up the shape itself. So quite a significant change. Now with the notch, I also get the other option of being able to specify the Y position of the notch as well. So if I make that a little bit lower, and then we'll just extend the width of the notch. And this allows us to essentially work around something we've got on the back wall. Now, when we've finished modifying the shape of an assembly, what we can do is we can choose to essentially just turn off the UCS altogether. So if we specify that we want none from here for the shape inside, you'll see that the shape that's applied to the assembly is still going to survive essentially turning off the UCS and not obviously running our function to apply a new assembly side. And it does that again because any shape that we apply to an assembly will remain as an override until we manually remove it. Join me in part 2 and probably part 3 where we start to dig into the UCS itself that's creating all these great shapes for us. Hopefully you found this episode useful. Feel free to give us a like, share and subscribe. We're also on Facebook, that's facebook.com/thecabinetvisionguy, and Instagram too, that's instagram.com/thecabinetvisionguy. Cheers!